generations and also mirroring my relationship and my family.
Okay, that's powerful. I like that because sometimes we got to go back and relate with things like that, and a lot of people don't understand that what you just said, but they have to live through certain things in order to understand certain things. Does that make any sense?
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to feel it, go through it to really get there. And I
Yeah.
get it because I didn't get it either until I was faced with some of these. And then looking at my own kids, I have them in their generation, wires, and they themselves having some challenges and issues. And so I see they're the same. And so I like to share my experiences with them, so that they may not really recognize it or understand it at the moment, but as it hits them, they now have eyes wide open, and now they can sense some of this stuff and kind of have a little toolbox that they can pull from because I've imparted information on them, so they can kind of at least know what to expect and be able to have a strategy.
Okay. Now, I know I was going to talk about something, and I'm going to bypass that first line,
Hmm.
what we discussed, because we already been discussing it.
Okay.
One I want to tap base on is this means a lot right here. You got people, processes, and technology. And that right there, when I read that part right there about the people, like building a strong relationship and the process developing a plan, and of course we got technology in there with the cutting edge.
Hmm.
But explain to me about that part right there. Where'd you come up with people, processes, and technology?
Yes, people process technology is a framework we use in the technology world. And so we kind of talk through how we protect the technology front by looking at the people in the organization. The processes are your business processes that you use, and then the technology is obviously the systems we use and the technology and trends that are in the community. And I overlaid that on our She is Grit. She is Grit chapter is just really about having the gut, having the thought processes to try to move forward even in the face of adversity and understanding it. And I think you need to understand who you're working with, the people around you that support you in your goals, the people that don't support you. You need to know who to trust. You got to know how to seek out your opportunities and those that will help elevate and move you through the organization, mentorships and sponsorships and things like that. So, those are the things that I talk about for the people aspect. The processes are your strategic plans, your goals that are aligned with the organization and the priorities in which are imparted on you, and the ones that you have personally. So you got your own personal set of goals and objectives that you're working with. And so having that and understanding how the culture is put together in the organization and what they have, so you can live those inherent goals and they're not in what we call conflict with one another. And so that's where the processes come on, and you have to know how to communicate in an organization and work through things, through the performance matrix and metrics that they take, understanding those key performance metrics, understanding how they will come out, and how to make data informed decisions throughout the organization as you get mature on your organization. And then technology is, we have technology in the organization, so you can't really shy away from it. It's how you use it every day. And, cybersecurity and technology and understanding the cutting tools that are there for you to seek out, learn how to use effectively for you to be successful in the organization, so you can reach and kind of add value to to the organization as far as your productivity and then the collaboration that you have with other stakeholders in the organization. And strategic planning and decision making falls in that with the technology, because you got to drive insightful decisions to make those decisions. So that is kind of how I put together that model to kind of help build a little platform for people to understand how to be effective in an organization. Because if you can latch on to the technology of your organization and be good at it and learn how to work your tools effectively, and you know how to work on your processes and your data, and you know how to build those stakeholder relationships, then that is the meat and potatoes of your culture in your organization to help you be successful. And so that's why I put that in there.
And I love when you came back and say the processes, because I hear that all the time. People saying, well, you got to go through the process. You got to go through this. No, everybody wants a shortcut. There's no shortcut. And I'm going to go back with Microsoft. When I first studied to start getting my Microsoft certifications, you right click and you go to my computer. For instance, you right there. But Microsoft tests, they don't want that. They want the processes step by step. How did you get there? Not the quick way. And I tell you what, if anybody ever took a certification test from Microsoft, bless you, because they ask some questions in there to have you scratching your head. I'm telling you, I don't know what it's like on your end, but when I went through I think I did 11 of those Microsoft tests, and after 11, I said, that's it for me. I'm not going any further. I don't had it. My brain was fried. But going through the right process is the things that you need to do, because you need to teach that to somebody else. Because if you start teaching shortcuts, then the question comes, well, how'd you get there? Oh, I right-click and got there. How did you get there? In other words, how did you get the answer? Remember back in the days on the chalkboard?
Show your work.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this one, don't you?
Show your work.
You had to show how you get there, how you got there. So with cybersecurity, is that basically the same way you have to really know what you're doing?
Oh, yes, there is no shortcut. You need to know, and you need to know how stuff work together, because you got to overlay. This technology tool may feed into another technology pool when you're looking at the data alerts from this application to another. And so you have that log aggregation that we're talking about that kind of shows a trail of what's happening on your network, and you feed all of those into a centralized tool. And that might be a SIM, a system, information event management system, that will collect that, and then allow you to set alerts and things that and guides that you want on your network. So what you want to happen and what you don't want to happen, you'll have set up those alerts to act appropriately and alert you appropriately. And so that's kind of what we see is you got to know how all those things interwork, because it's interconnected. And there's no way for you to just know one piece anymore and go, oh, I got this one tool. It's no longer like that. You got to know everything, and you need to take the initiative to learn outside your job, your role. And that was one of the major things that I would do anywhere I was. Okay, you showed me what I need to work on. You showed me my area of responsibility. Now I'm like, well, how does my area work with area B? And how does my area work with area Delta? I want to know, so that I understand, okay, I'm getting input from Delta and I'm having output to area Bravo. I need to know that, right? So I need to know what format you want it in. What format can you take it in case some formats don't work? So, you gotta know that stuff, and that makes you more successful when you're not a one-sided person and you look at all the other aspects within your organization. It actually makes you add more value to the organization.
Which my mind is moving right now on the things you were just saying, you also have to learn how to work on the fly, because something may come up, a threat may come up, and you don't have that time to break out a book and start reading where this came from. I guess it's called a little bit of experience and working with things and understanding the threat. Is a threat something simple? The key code one, they get into your computer, now they can watch every key you press and everything that you're doing. Or is it one that is so advanced, like taking money out of the bank? And they're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? But you have to turn around. You got to be, I guess with your line of business, you got to be ready for anything that comes your way.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. You have to understand, and the only way for us to do that is like know our processes. And so with the processes, you have an incident response plan in the organization, and that incident response plan will allow you to have a certain set of objectives that we cover. And then if you have it down to the detailed processes, you might actually have a procedure set up. And so what you're doing is you have a broad area on how everybody in the company works together in the event of a incident, and the roles and responsibilities. And so that is where we have a way to review those plans, and we need to review them often to make sure that they're still good, they're still working, they're effective for your team, because your team, as you know, things change. And then you also need to do what we call a tabletop exercise, and tabletop exercises allow you to test that plan with your team. And so therefore you do it in a trusted environment. We're putting out things and scenarios, the real scenarios that could happen, and your team gets a chance to be reactive. Your team gets the chance to show what they know about the plan and what they're supposed to do, and work through the little nuances so that we find those gaps. And it's better to find a gap in a tabletop exercise that is safe, so that you can make the adjustments then, so you can get better and improve, and then you'll be more ready for another actual real life event if it happens. So that is something that you can do to help level up your teams, help level up your incident response strategy, and that will help protect you from those cybersecurity attacks out there.
Which I like. The next point I'm going to. Y'all, I'm cheating. I did read it. You see my little mark right there? I did read. I got 6 grandkids and kids, and my memory ain't all that good, so kids will do that to you, no matter what age you are. I mean, this one part right here, I love this one part when you said it's okay to change directions and try again. The reason why I like that part right there in the book that you have in here, real life, not with cybersecurity, but it could probably relate to that. We have a tendency to keep on doing the same thing over and over and over, and it's not fixing itself. And if you did the same thing in cybersecurity, man, they have people running all over you. Say, oh, here, we got an easy way in. Let's get in right here. They're going to do the same thing they've been doing all the time. Just watch. Is that one of the procedures? Oh, I don't think words procedure is right. But is that one of the things you got to look out for when they keep on doing the same thing?
Yes. Well, I mean, if it's working, why change the strategy? So if the strategy works and they get in, they're going to keep exploiting that hole. So it's when you fix the hole that they have to look harder and find some other way to get in. But with our side, we have to look like you kind of got to look, you got to put yourself in their position. Like, what would they do as an attacker? What would I first look for? How would I be on the offensive, and how would I perform this? And so you have to do that on the defensive side and the offensive side when you're trying to make sure that you're protecting your coveted data and crown jewels for your organization. But being decisive, you need to. You got to understand how to read the data. You got to understand how to, make a decision with the data you have at the moment, because leadership's going to be asking you questions, and you got to be able to come up with something. You got to give them a plan on where we're going. Well, with the information that we know right now, this is the best plan of action. However, we are continuously looking for new information, continuously making our assessments, and as we need to change and adapt, we will. And so that's where that decision making happens also in the real world, of day-to-day life and college students and going to school and home life. You have that as well for decision making. Is how I brought that in there, is that, I had a conversation with a family member, and they were just not able to make a decision. They were just so frozen from making a decision about life. And I was like, it is okay. It's not that hard. It's not a big thing for you to make a mistake and fail. It's okay. Or make a mistake and have to adjust. Or make a mistake and, just adjust the tweak a little bit. It is okay. You make the best decision with the information you have at this time. And then if you see something different, then you can pivot. It's okay to pivot. I've pivoted 4 times. At least, at a minimum, 4 different roles, 4 different career fields. Yeah. And I've had to pivot a lot. But my decision and my motivations were my children most of the time in my life, because I was a single parent for a good bit of it, and it was helping lead to guide them and get them in the right, set them up for future things and future opportunities. And so I didn't get to follow my dreams. And so with this book, you can kind of see through some of it. It's me finding myself. And so I started this journey a while ago. And with this journey, I went through being bold, embracing integrity, investing in grit, and I'm the glue to the family and work life that I do. I embody dedication, and I take the lead. I'm strategic in what I do, and I breathe trust, and I inspire others, and then I'm the light for others. And so that is my journey, a transformational journey of being a leader. And I wanted to help others have that transformational journey as well, as you can kind of see how to impart some of these strategies and styles in your life. And also, you can identify with some of the stories that I put in here.
And, I love this book. I'm going to finish reading it. I may share it with my wife.
Please do.
Probably not. But a point I want to make, we talk all the time. Me and Marche, we sit back. Sometimes I call her out to Wild Blue, how you doing? I don't want anything. I'm just calling seeing how you doing, know. And we got mutual friends that we keep an eye on. We're not going to mention their names because... But we keep an eye on them, and she be telling me, that's the same thing Marche said. Are y'all collaborating against me? I said, no. No, we're not. But, it's nice to have somebody you talk to outside your field. Because I'm here at the radio, which cybersecurity goes hand in hand with it anyway. And I had picked a brain a couple of times. But one thing I want to point out, you being a black woman in this field right here, there's not too many black women in this field. And I remember you were going to introduce to bring in young black women into this field, because this field is wide open for the black woman. I mean, I'm serious. It's wide open. They need some help. Need some help in this field. So if you want to get into this field, I got the right lady right here who can let you know how to get in this field. Matter of fact, she might be recruiting soon. And I'm hoping that she is, because this is something we really need to let everybody know. Because I remember when wireless first came out. Oh, I am saying my age, Marche. I remember I was right in the beginning of it. I remember going down the road when people got wireless routers and the router was wide open. Anybody could get in there and get into it. I would put my business card because I had a business I called Gordon's PC, and I would go ahead and place it on each one of their doors. And I got quite a few people that called me back and said, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "Your Wi-Fi is wide open. Anybody get in your computer, take whatever they want to take. What I need to do, you need to encrypt it. How do I do that?" I said, "I'm glad you asked that question. I could come over and do it at this price, and I will go over there and do all that for them." Well, they didn't realize how fast wireless was going to take off. So now you had people in there that would drop a bug in your computer just to them come out there and fix it. It was crazy back in the days with wireless. It was like free for all, everybody. I'm wide open. Come see what I have on my computer. And it was crazy. But now we're at this point now where we're at now where you come into play at, where we got to get you and some more young black women into this field.
Definitely. So I have my Cybersecurity Leadership Academy that I'm starting. And basically with that, that's an on-demand program that I can do. And also I'll be working on establishing some classes in the community as well that I can teach online and in-person classes. So that will be coming up, as Ron alluded to. I had planned to start around school, but there were amongst day things that happen in life. I had to go home and take care of some business this summer, so it kind of threw me off the timetable to getting it out there. However, I am back in the saddle, back on board, and we'll be looking forward to having some of those.
I'm looking for. I said I'll come over there and eavesdrop. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. But I like what you're doing because we need this here in this town, in this city, and forget that, the whole United States. Because I'm pretty sure if you do an online course, you're gonna get a whole bunch of people from outside San Antonio coming in, and
Yes.
that'd be a good thing. Oh, tell us one thing about you. When I read that, I said, she does? Speaking engagements, you like doing that?
Yes, I do speaking engagements.
I read that. I know you can, but it didn't occur to me because I look at cybersecurity. Y'all work with me on this one because if a hand come across and slap me, I said something wrong. I look at cybersecurity like everybody else look at it. My wife calls me a nerd because I do computers and everything else. I'm a nerd. Just point blank, I said, okay. But you look at cybersecurity that people are stuck in a back closet somewhere that you never see, that they do not intermingle with people. They just like so by themselves, they're nerdy and they're sitting back in a cave like. Will you tell them that's not how it is?
Oh no, cybersecurity is definitely getting out of that. Technology is getting out of that. Software development was a thing of the past. Where you basically sat in your cubicle and you coded all day, and that was why I did not go into software development in the very beginning. I was like, oh no, I can't sit in a cubicle for almost 8 hours of my day coding. That's not going to happen. So I'm a people person. I like to talk to people, and so that just turned me off from wanting to be a software developer. However, I'm really good in that space, and I work. So I've been in it a lot of different ways, whether it was designing web pages or actually working in software development as a full stack software developer. But with that, I've learned a lot of how we approach some agile programming. And agile meaning we work together in a group and we do a lot of programming together and embrace pair programming. And so there's ways that this is really getting to be a collaborative environment in IT and cyber where you talk with business leaders now and you're no longer talking all the technical jargon, and you have to learn how to navigate the business as well and be able to translate the technical to the business so you can sell to the business your idea and what you want and how you're implementing it and communicate effectively with them. Sometimes you're also talking with the customer and you got to be able to articulate to the customer and give them a real a valuable experience, and they can't get it if you're just talking technical, because you don't know who you're talking to. Sometimes you're talking to the business folks. I work with them day to day, some of the C-suite on up, and they don't talk technical jargon, they talk business, and you got to make sure that they understand the need and why they need to do it. And so you're getting so far from where you're being a nerd and nerded out and things like that. But it is okay. There are fields that places where you'll be able to sit at a computer and code. Now, believe me, 10 p.m. to about 3 a.m. is like my prime time for thinking, because I'll go and code and do things and design up stuff all the time, because I find that peaceful for me. So I'll stay up all night to get stuff done, but I'm a nerd in its own, but I also know how to be, work with the business. So that's where we have to go now.
I feel you on that. Because the same thing happened to me, like for 2 mornings in a row, on Sunday and Monday morning, I'm up at 2:00 in the morning, and I go right over to the computer and I start working. I start editing. I start doing things I want to have done. Why at that time of night? Then I found out it's peaceful and my creative juices are flowing then. I can think of things. And then, have you ever sat down there and did that, and then the next day you looked at what you did and said, how did I do that?
Oh, yes.
Where did that come from? How come I didn't do this years ago? You know what I mean?
You're tapping into, and it was someone on YouTube, and I can't say his name because he's like African, and he talks about that time of night, that time where your brain is really working. And I believe that, because that's where you're getting the truest thinking processes working, and they're in alignment and attunement, and you just tap right into that, and you build something beautiful, like a chef in a kitchen, cooking your food. It's the same thing, all the aromas, everything that needs to be put together. And I find I make the best products at that time. And I can tell you, before I was up at 2 a.m. tonight, and I didn't go back to sleep until 6 o'clock a.m. and then it was time to get up at 7. So I was doing some stuff. That's how I can think and put through things and solve what we call now, I learned when I went to DC, wicked problems. Wicked problems are interconnected problems that involves all other areas like healthcare, water safety, economics, technology, government. It's all public policy, everything coming into one, because it's not one area that can solve the problem. It's us working together. And so that's kind of what keeps me up at night.
Wow. I remember it was a while back. I got up. I was finished about 4:30 in the morning. Couldn't go back to sleep. So, you know what I did? Don't laugh at me.
I'm gonna laugh.
I broke out everything. I made some homemade oatmeal raisin cookies.
Oh no, I won't laugh about that. That's awesome.
and my wife got up and she went to work and said, I don't know what got me. He was making cookies early this morning. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I started baking.
Hey.
But so now, see, that's the other nerd part that comes out, I guess. But let's get back to this this other thing, cookies. I want some milk and cookies. Encryption.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the most things you have to have when you're developing cybersecurity, or the person who needs it. Because a lot of people to this day will not encrypt some things. How important is it to encrypt things so people can't get a hold of it?
Well, it's kind of like thinking of your data written out on a piece of paper, and it has all your bank accounts and all your important information. Would you just lay it out there on a table out in public for everyone to see?
No. If I did, I lay it out there. Can you please pay for this?
No, this is your credit card information. This
No.
is your social security numbers, all of your personal data. You want all that out there for everyone to see? No, you don't. And so that's what we're talking about. This stuff is on your computer, but it's out there in public if someone's to get on your network and start looking around. So what you want your data to do is be to encrypt it at rest. So when it's resting and stored somewhere, it should be encrypted. So you encrypt your drive. Then you'll communicate, because we don't ever not communicate in this world. So you're going to be communicating through email or texting or any of these other methods out here, messaging, social media. You're doing all stuff, right? You're doing your work. You're doing things. You're communicating. And so the data needs to be encrypted as it travels. And so that's why you use secure channels to be able to communicate with people. You look at your applications that you use. You just don't use any application. Look at the application and see if it's made securely. Is it running securely? That's our due diligence, a fiduciary responsibility for ourselves, so that we're investing in our money and we don't want to lose it, right? So you want to make the best decisions. You look at the apps you're using and making sure that those are secure. You want to make sure that what are they doing with your data? Are they saving data? That's why you got to look at their policies and see what they're doing with your data. They should not be keeping data that they don't need. Only the information they need to do the work. They don't need to collect everything else. So you can ask those questions and find out. And if they can't give you good answers, then I'd use another application that will be transparent to me and let me know what's going on with my stuff. Because it is yours, right? And so that's what we're looking at. So data in transit, data at rest, everywhere data is, you want to be able to encrypt it. So even if someone was to compromise and come, like, a laptop gets stolen, and if the data's all encrypted on it, they can't do anything with it. They can try hard, but they can't do anything with it unless they know how to decrypt your data. If they're an expert or a forensics expert on that, then that might be different. But you got to do your due diligence to protect it, and that's the best way. Because usually hackers are not really picking you out. They're just really just sending stuff out to see who I could compromise, because they are vulnerable to my attack. Now, you do have some that will try to do that, but that's more of a personal nature, that if they seek you out that way. So that they have an investment in that approach for some reason. They don't like something, or they thought maybe you did something to them with their business and you weren't treating them right, and they want to get back at you. So stuff like that, retribution, a lot of people are like that. So those are ways that some people do that. But you got to look out for everything. It's 360. Be aware, eyes open, get out there and look and see what's going on. And you can't be blinded to your data and just leave it out there for anyone to look at. So I definitely want to take some diligence. And so I'll have some classes on that, on cyber hygiene, being able to know how to protect your stuff. We can have those conversations. We can get to education to people so that they can do that. Because I can tell you one example I took an Uber, and the lady came and picked me up. My car was in the shop, and I had to go speak somewhere down on the east side, and she picked me up, and she was talking to me, and I was listening. And then she started talking about her phone and how it's always blacking out and having problems. And then we got into it and realized that her cyber hygiene wasn't good with her phone. She wasn't upgrading it. She wasn't doing anything. And so it's catching these viruses and stuff. And I was like, this phone is your bread and butter. This is how you sit it up there and let it map you where you need to go and get your job. And I'm like, you need to take time and protect your coveted resources, and that phone is a resource because it's what gets you where you need to go. So definitely, her eyes were open after that, and she's like, "Oh, I'll upgrade every time now." And I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah, that'll work." Isn't that funny?
Yes,
it comes across the phone all the time, and people just say, "I ain't worried about it."
Yeah.
And then they turn around and figure, "What happened?" So, yeah.
Why is my phone acting up? Did you upgrade it? That's usually my first thing is, does it have any updates it need? Is it telling you something? Check that out first.
I know somebody in my household that does that, and I'm constantly got to grab the iPad and the phone and do the upgrade. And I had it automatic, but they learned how to cut it off.
Turn it off. Yep.
So there's only one other person in the house with me, so you know what I'm talking about.
I cannot confirm or deny.
All right, Marche, anything you want to leave everybody with? How to get a hold of you? When your class is going to start? Because I want to know. I just want to know. I'm nosy.
Oh. By all means, yes. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Marche-Bryant is my profile. You'll get the new one. There's apparently an old one floating out there, but definitely the new one with cybersecurity as working in the fronts. And then I'm also on AsSheRises.org. But there's a hyphen between all words, AsShe-Rises.org/rise. So that's the website to get there. That's the book. You'll also be able to purchase the book as well. It's on Amazon. If you purchase it through my website, I actually will autograph your book for you before I send it to you. But it's all that people who like to get it off of Amazon. It's there as well. It's on Kindle. So you have a version for digital if you want that. So those are ways to communicate with me. I'll also be putting my classes up. So if you get the as-she-rises.org and put in /programs, that will get you my classes. So those are the on-demand classes, but I will also put up the in-person classes on there too. So if you keep an eye on that site, sign up for my, to get more information, and then I'll send it out to you. I hope to have some classes set up for, this is October, so at least going into the end of this month or into the beginning of November. I just have to work with a couple of people and see if I can get those out there. But I definitely would like to get some of those on the books for this year. All
right. We appreciate you stopping by the studio.
Always.
And next time, bring lunch. I'm just kidding. I mess with Marche a lot.
Yes, Ron.
It's in my DNA to do this, but we really do appreciate you stopping by the studio and letting everybody know what's going on in your world and how they could be part of it. And I'm looking forward to hearing you being very successful in the things that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to see your very first class come across. I can't wait to meet the young Black women coming across, learning how to do cybersecurity, and it's a field that actually it's a field they don't have to get out the house. They can sit at home and do all that stuff, right?
You can get some to work from home, but it just depends because the pandemic brought a lot of them at home.
Right.
But a lot of companies are shaking it up and getting back to having their workforce back online or hybrid. It's beneficial for you to be at work because that's where you meet your people. It is very hard to meet the people you work with and develop those relationships in a remote environment, but it can have its pros and cons. So it just depends on what you want to do. If you want to be moving up, I would definitely be in a place where people see you because, as you can see, a lot of Black women are not there, and if they don't see you, they're not going to think of you. So you definitely want to be where the leaders are, show them how hard of a worker you are, what you're doing, always knowing the opportunities on the floor for you, and because they're not gonna just walk over and hand it to you in your lap, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have to go after it, get after it, to say.
Okay. All right, young lady. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio. It is 59 minutes after the hour, and it is 84 degrees outside. We'll be back later on this afternoon with What's Happening in San Antonio with our very own Sharon Bell Moses. Sheila E., we ran out of time. Sorry. DJ Ron G., I am out.
You say